Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Live Recruiting Show. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. Today is, for you, Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. For us, it's Tuesday, April 23rd. Keep that in mind moving forward for any yesterdays, todays, or tomorrows. We'll try to keep it simple if I haven't complicated it enough already. Got a fantastic show for you today because there's been a lot going on with Auburn in the transfer portal, some outs, some ins. We're going to talk about it all with you. And to help me do that, we're going to get some questions from the corner. We're going to answer them. We're going to give some insight into them. And to help me do it all, Mr. Allen Head, Mr. Cole Pinkston, how about you, fellas?
How about you?
How
about you, big dog? How we doing tonight?
Fairly well.
I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance. I took some allergy medicine. Might be sneezing.
Oh.
We might have to hit the cough button, turn the camera off, whatever we got to do.
Cole's feeling good. He hit the allergy medicine.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And I cut the grass today, did some weed eating. It tore me up.
Did it?
Got poison ivy all up my leg, everything.
So God bless.
You did it your jorts and your boots, didn't you?
I absolutely 100% did it in my Huntington shorts and some boots. Not jean shorts, but some shorts.
Close enough.
In the words of Hank Williams, a country boy can't survive. I hear you, Cole.
the millennial version of jorts is some Huntington shorts.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get to the questions from the corner tonight, and then we'll add anything that we have at the end. Our subscribers are so knowledgeable and understanding and patient that and realistic. We've got the best guys. They know what they want to hear, and they know what they want us to talk about. So we're going to get that first, and then we'll go over anything that we might have missed. Before we get started, if you're in or around Auburn, Opelika, Lee County, you need to get rid of a home. You need to find you a new one. Look no further for the help you need. Miss Jessica Andrus with the Talents Group. Give her a call, 334-704-4442. She is a 5-star realtor. If you don't believe me, just ask me, and I'll tell you. She's a 5-star realtor. I see it every day. She is fantastic, a little too good sometimes. She will answer the phone. My gosh, she'll answer that phone. She will not leave you hanging. She's always working for you. Give her a call. Jessica Andrus with the Talents Group, 334-704-4442. Tell her we sent you. All right, fellas. We know Auburn's got some additions. That also has some subtractions. Let's let the corner dictate our show, and then we'll come around to anything that we might need to address after the questions from the corner. Mr. Robert Dale. All right. Robert Dale getting us started tonight. Oh, this is a good one, man. Eric Winters and Anthony Fegans, both 4-star safeties. How far away are we from earning commitments? Auburn is presumed leader for both of these guys. Eric Winters, 4-star safety from Enterprise. Anthony Fegans. It's actually Anquan Fegans.
I was going to say, yeah.
I was going to let you keep rolling.
Something's wrong here.
Yeah.
Hey, if I got the name right, and Robert Dale, you're slacking, big dog. Anquan Fegans, both of those guys are presumed leaning towards Auburn. Eric Winters has said he wants to decide in April. Well, he's got about 7 more days to do that. 6 more days since y'all are listening on Wednesday. Fegans, it's been relatively quiet since leaving Auburn's visit back in March. His father has spoken with Steve Wiltfong, said Auburn is the leader right now. Fellas, could you see both of these guys popping before May 1st?
No, I think if any one of them does, it's going to be Winters. I believe he's going to go first. But I do think both are going to get into the class solidly by the month of June. Like, that's just kind of my thought process. I think it's going to play out a little bit longer. I think the concentration right now is going to be on the portal, and that's probably going to take the majority of the coaching staff to get that done. I'm not saying that they can't have a high school commitment. Just I think that's kind of where the focus is going to be. And we both know that sometimes that you're trying to accrue a certain level of buzz with certain guys going public at certain times. So maybe there's some orchestration there as well. But my thought is this will kind of drift into May with at least one of those. Maybe one of them will go public in April, but that both are likely to end up in this class. And I like the projection on both right now.
Yeah, I pulled up the visit schedule for Eric Winters. He's got an official visit scheduled to Georgia in June, as well as one to Miami. Both of those schools are believed to be Auburn's toughest competition. No official visit set to Auburn. I think he said, Cole, that he may want to take it during the season.
Yeah, he did.
And then, so you're wondering, is this a guy who's going to take those visits, even though he said he wants to make a decision in April? if he makes the decision, he's still going to take those visits, or is he going to say, hey, you know what? I've decided I'm going to take those visits and then make my decision. As far as Anquan Fegans goes, let's check out his visit schedule. He's got an official visit scheduled to Georgia for June 14th. The week before that, he's going to Miami. So both of them, if I'm not mistaken, are those the same dates?
No, they're a week apart.
Are they flip flopped? Okay, let's see. Georgia's 14 and Miami is 7. Georgia's 14, Miami is 7. Georgia is 7 and Miami is 21. So there you go. You're right, Cole. So interesting. So Robert Dale, we all think both of those, if we're doing a mock class, they're in my class.
Yeah,
they're in mine for sure.
Same.
So we'll see. But yeah, I would expect both of them to commit by the end of June.
I think it could happen early May. I think it could happen early May for both. I'm with y'all. If one goes early, it's probably Winters. But early May sounds right to me.
Yeah. And again, I think the concentration right now is going to be getting portal targets to go public, getting them into the class, into the boat. And then the concentration will be back on the high school class. And both of those kind of guys are guys that can create a splash. And so you just keep that momentum moving forward into OV season. And if it's me and I feel like I'm close on those, that's kind of how I want it to lay out. So Auburn's consistently in the news.
Yeah.
Momentum right now, definitely with the transfer portal. Coaches have actually gone out on the road this week. I know Auburn's been in state on Tuesday. I know they were down at Elba to see Alvin Henderson.
Yep.
I believe they're going to be up north in Kentucky Wednesday night to see the big safety Carter.
Martell's
Yep.
Carter.
Love him. Love. Listen, while we're talking about safety, I would say those are the top 3 guys at safety for Auburn: Anquan Fegans, Eric Winters, and what was this? Martell's Carter.
Yeah.
They love all 3 of those guys. Would love to get all 3 of those guys.
It's weird to think of Winters as a safety, and I think he is, but he's going to be a hybrid. That's what he is. He calls it star. Every time I talk to Eric personally, he calls it star. That's what I'm going to play, star. And maybe Auburn's looking for a guy. Maybe DJ Durkin wants an Eric Winters so he can have a star. Maybe they won't use that as much. Of course, you got Caleb Harris. He fits that role, but if they don't have it this year, that doesn't mean they won't have it eventually.
No, I don't disagree. And a guy like Tyler Love could probably play that position as well. So
Absolutely.
You think about
Same
it's not
deal.
Tyler Terrence. I'm sorry. Terrence Love. My apologies. I'm messing name all
Tyler
kinds of
Love is the former offensive lineman from Mountain Brook.
Sure is, isn't it? Well,
Alabama.
I hope Terrence Love plays a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
But
do y'all remember Taylor Love?
yeah, his brother.
It was his younger brother.
Taylor Love, Opelika linebacker.
Oh,
No, I didn't.
Recently, Opelika linebacker. Auburn took a look at him, didn't offer. Went to Tulane in the portal already.
Oh,
So,
I was not aware of him.
yeah, I saw that today. Since we're talking about loves.
Well, it's not Valentine's Day, but we're always loving here at the Let's see. War Eagle 07 with Caleb Cunningham, the 5-star wide receiver from Mississippi. He set up an official visit today, according to Chad Simmons. Caleb Cunningham will be here on May 31st and saying he will come back for Big Cat, which he said the last time he was here. How confident do you feel about our chances? And we talked we might have talked on the call-in show. I think I had it 25. Y'all were at 30-ish maybe?
Yeah, I think 30% is where I'm at with it. Still, even though this OV is set up, and Cole, I want you to get in here and talk about this, Jeffrey, you too. To me, how Auburn's season plays out and the quarterback they land in this class potentially was what's going to drive your ability to get a player of his caliber out of the state of Mississippi. It's not just landing him. You got to realize the state of Mississippi is tough. It is tough to go in and pluck a kid out of that state, especially when you've got a new coach in Jeff Levy who's invigorated that fan base. And I think they've kind of got things going from an NIL standpoint. So they'll probably be able to put a lot of assets into him. Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss have played as well as anybody. And then you think about the Mississippi ties there. But Hugh Freeze has recruited wide receivers at an extremely high clip. Marcus Davis obviously stamped his name in last year's class. if you land a quarterback like Juju Lewis, I think your odds go up significantly of landing a Caleb Cunningham because he knows he's going to get the opportunity to play with somebody that can absolutely get him the ball. No questions asked. This is a kid that can deliver. So when you play with that kind of quarterback, that's enticing to a guy. And if Mississippi State, worst case scenario, they're 4-7, 4-8. Auburn's 8-4. Well, maybe if you're Caleb Cunningham, you're looking at that situation and saying, hey, that's a hell of a lot more stable than the situation I'm walking to over here at Mississippi State.
Absolutely.
Jeffrey,
I think – go ahead, Cole.
Can you pull up his OV schedule, Caleb Cunningham?
Sure. Now, I don't know if it's been scheduled. I mean, if Chad has entered the dates. I know I put in the Auburn schedule. But hold on. There you go.
Is that everybody?
I think he's got one to Tennessee on the 14th.
Okay. So I'm catching on to a new trend here. Notice that Ole Miss and Mississippi State don't have OVs yet, and they may. We just haven't, learned about it yet. I think when a team feels confident about somebody these days, they are trying to wait to get that last OV.
Yep.
Does that make sense? I think that's starting to happen. That's why a guy like Eric Winters, you see 2 OVs elsewhere. Auburn still working on it. We're working on it. Probably waiting to see what else he's going to do
intentionally.
Let's get that last one. I think that's a new strategy. So you see Caleb Cunningham without one to Ole Miss, Mississippi State. They're probably going to hold off for a little while, let things play out, and then get that last OV.
And go ahead, Cole.
The Mississippi schools are going to have a great shot with Caleb. And Auburn's trying to stay in it, Alabama, all these schools. But this is I just wanted to point that out because they're still in it big time.
No, and Jeffrey, you need to jump in here, but I think your point is particularly true, Cole, as it pertains to in-state prospects that can get to your campus multiple times over. When the travel is shorter, I think you absolutely want to string your visit out later. If it's an out-of-state prospect, I think Auburn's probably, and everybody else is still fighting to get you in June to get that commitment done. But Jeffrey, where are you at with it?
I don't even know what we're talking about.
Caleb Cunningham, our chances there.
I'm still at 25 now. I was going to say earlier, I was trying to get this weekend schedule because we just added Caleb Cunningham to this May 31st weekend. And when I did today, I was like, man, look at the weekend that's shaping up to be for Auburn. That first official visit weekend, that last day in May, the first weekend in June. You got Caleb Cunningham, Keati Armstrong, Broderick Scholl, and Kalen Edwards.
Well, the Keati Armstrong, that's one we haven't talked about too much, but I think it was maybe Steve Wiltfong came out and said that Auburn's in his top 4 or one of the 4 schools he's looking at the hardest, maybe. So that's going to be a big visit.
Jasper, Texas. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing what Brody Scholl does that weekend.
I am too.
Because I think Chad Simmons and Steve Wiltfong both have predictions in for him. He is, according to On3, he is the number 5 tackle in the country. He is a 5-star. He will be a 5-star on On3 if his ranking stays. He's the 19th overall recruit in the class. Would be a huge, huge, huge addition for Auburn. But I was just looking at that May 31st. So as far as Caleb Cunningham is concerned, Alan, I think Juju Lewis would go a long way in raising my 25% to 35 or 40.
Mm-hmm.
But I was reading his quotes today when I was rewriting that story for the OV, and man, he has some really great things to say about Auburn, Marcus Davis, Cam Coleman being that other guy on the other side. You get a guy like Keandre Lambert Smith to come in here for 1 year and play that opposing side of Cam, and then now you're switching roles with Cam being the more seasoned guy with Caleb Cunningham, Perry Thompson. Let's not forget about him and the other guys, Malcolm Hill, even Camden Brown. But I think Juju Lewis, a guy like him, would go a long way in upping Auburn's chances. I honestly, man, I would be shocked. And listen, there's a reason Mississippi State's leading right now in the RPM. But I would really be shocked if Mississippi State lands this 5-star stud if they end up with a 4 or 5 win season.
I'm with you. Now, then that opens the door for Ole Miss a little bit, you know what I mean? Which is the other team that you got to worry about. And I think most people on this panel would think that Ole Miss they've got a shot at the playoff this year. So that's a little bit different beast that you're trying to battle.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Ward M23. What's the prediction for linebackers, buck and inside linebacker in this class? Well, we know Jacaleb Falk is, I think, considered an inside backer in this class. I know we all thought he was going to be that buck, but Auburn has they really see him as an inside backer, and that was surprising. But when my hot boards come out in May, I'm going to have him as an inside backer. As far as other guys at the inside spot,
that one's that one's tough right now.
It is. Well, you've got a new defensive coordinator, a new inside linebacker coach, so it's understandable that we don't really have a good feel for that.
Yeah. I feel like Auburn's going to grab one out of the portal, a young guy. I think they'll get a young guy.
I think so too. And that makes a lot of sense. If you can find a young guy that you like in this cycle, that makes a ton of sense for the way your board's shaping. Elijah Melendez is probably the name I've got my eye on to accompany J.J. Falk in this class as far as inside linebackers are concerned. And then I think you may even grab another linebacker in that January portal cycle as well, Cole, because of the amount of experience that you're losing. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I think they may try to kind of leverage the portal somewhat because DJ Durkin's just getting in. He's just able to do his evals and putting his claws in the kind of prospects that he wants. And don't forget, you've got some versatility with Joe Phillips. I know we just added Kerryon Crawford, and J.J. Falk also gives you that versatility. You may see one of those go outside to outside linebacker and one of them come inside. It wouldn't shock me at all to see that kind of a situation happen as their bodies kind of start to continue to grow and develop and see where they fit best. And right now, obviously, they've got Joe outside at the buck, and I think he's going to excel there. But it wouldn't be beyond it for Auburn to bring him back inside either if they think that, hey, we've got maybe more of a talent advantage on the outside than we initially anticipated, and Joe could really help us on the inside. So there's some flexibility there with what you presently got on the roster.
Let's don't forget about Jaden Perlotti. I mean, that's the name who's going to be on my hot board. Tyler Lockhart's going to be on my hot board. Elijah Melendez is going to be on my hot board. Caleb Falk is going to be on my hot board at that position. So that's four guys, probably four of the top guys as far as inside backers goes. And listen, this eval period that all coaches are out, they're at these schools, they're visiting these guys, and probably the board's probably going to change. We're probably going to see some new offers and have some new names coming out of this evaluation period. Bucks. Don't forget
about Anthony Crua. I know he just committed to North Carolina, but I'm telling you, Auburn's going to get him on campus for camp. I think they're going to get him at camp. I'm telling you, they're going to like the guy. So
no, it's hard not to like his film when you watch it, Cole. I mean, he's explosive. Do you see him stand up outside linebacker, or do you see him inside? Where do you place him there?
I think he's inside right now. I think it's a wait and see. We'll see how he grows. He might grow into a buck or just an outside linebacker. We'll see. Inside probably to start with.
Okay.
And as far as buck goes, I got some new intel coming on that Wednesday morning. When y'all are watching this, probably it'll be out. It's looking good at buck.
I was going to say it's a little bit easier there.
I got some names. Third Scroggins. Talked to him the other night. Put up an update on him.
Jeremiah McLeod.
He's more of a 5 technique.
Okay.
Or a 3. He could play either. So talk to him as well. I don't know how he feels yet. Can't really get a good feel on him.
Okay.
Third Scroggins. I'm probably close to putting in a prediction for him.
Zion Grady.
I was about to say, I don't know if I'm ready to put a prediction in, but man, have I heard some positive things there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I put on the board after talking to him last week. He came in for a surprise visit on Saturday. And after talking to him Saturday after the visit, I went on the board, and I think I answered somebody's question by saying I think he and Eric Winters end up at the same school, and I've got Eric Winters going to Auburn right now. So I really think Auburn's the team to beat for Zion Grady. I was looking at some other buck names. Isaiah Gibson's another guy. Jerry Smith, somewhat.
Isaiah Gibson, I'll have an update on him as well. Don't want to spoil it too much, but
okay.
I think it's between 2 schools and not one that he's committed to right now.
How about that?
USC commitment. And he is a potential 5-star. He is actually He is actually a 5-star on 3, or will be if he stays the same. Let me pop him up real quick. So I
That's a
think everybody
5-star.
enjoys the
If I've ever seen one, that's a 5-star. 100%.
good-looking kid. So you've got. Let's talk about the top 3 guys are probably Isaiah Gibson, third Scroggins, Zion Grady, and I don't know
Yep.
what order, but those
Those
are
are
your 3 guys.
And I think they'd take them all if they could get them all.
And I would put at least 2 of them. I would think third. I got third and Zion.
Yeah. I'm
As Auburn
leaning that way with both of them, definitely.
team to beat. So, all right, let's see what Hendo, man, he tried to get in on the show last week or this past Sunday, and we missed him. He only gets his break. I love this guy. That is a loyal guy right there. Losing Tyler Scott and Colton Hood to the portal. Does Auburn replace with the portal, or do we go to the high school route to replace that position? Alan, you think? And I do too. I think Auburn's going for 2 at least DBs.
I think they'll go to the portal. I'm not sure as to the composition just yet of what they're looking at from a seniority type standpoint of where they are positioned. I think they're just going to try to get best available right now. Obviously, I think the coaching staff was high on both these 2 young men. Wish them well as they move forward, but they were not the projected starters. Now, in my opinion, Colton Hood had kind of started to separate himself as that third corner and really had a good spring. And I obviously think a lot of Tyler Scott, the way he plays, his physicality. But I think you can get players to replace them in the portal. I think DB is a spot that you can go to the portal and you can find quality players to be able to replace what you were going to have there. And look, we brought in a quality portal player this past fall cycle, right? In January, in a guy in Antonio Kite, who probably is in the 2D. I think some of my comments were a little misleading on him when we were talking about whether or not they were, a hit or not. And in my opinion, I thought Antonio Kite was coming in to be the third corner and really be pushing the starting 2. I haven't heard that to this point, but the kid is very talented. I think he's probably squarely in the 2D, and he has every opportunity to continue to push to be that third corner. I think that opportunity therein lies for him. But I do believe they're going to feel that in the portal, whether they're going to take a younger prospect or a one-year guy. I just don't see Hugh Freeze as the kind of coach that wants to necessarily have open spots on the roster if he can avoid it. So he'll try to fill that if they can find the right kind of quality.
I think according to Justin's roster, Cole, I think Auburn's, even with the 3 new portal additions, there's still 8 spots to fill. I think there's 77.
7 to 8. Yeah, that's where they're at right now. And the corner board is an even bigger mystery than the linebacker board for me in high school. For that reason, I do believe they get one from the portal, at least one corner. Maybe a safety too, but I'm looking at corner a little bit harder because I just don't see many names out there. Now, it depends on how much they're putting into name offered. I mean, they may be putting every resource into that, but we haven't seen him at Auburn in a while, so that gives me concern. Devin Williams, you got him committed. That's a corner.
Yep.
And other than that, the only one I really know of Auburn having any traction with is Chris Ewald, who just put Auburn in his top 6. So I don't know. That position is
maybe Dante Core.
Oh yeah, Dante Core. Okay, that's another one for sure. Tim Merritt. Well, I don't know where he is on the board, but that's another one. I mean, we're talking about guys that are probably strictly corners when they get to college.
Let me throw another name out. Remember, I said the top 3 guys at safety. I'm sorry, but I just saw Tay Harris is another guy at safety that they really like.
Yep. Now, is he still committed to Clemson?
He is, and I think he's a pretty recent commit. Well, I think he committed in March. Committed March 18th. And Jonte Gilbert's kind of that. He's at the top of a tier 2. Is kind of my understanding. Like, don't quote me on this, but that's just kind of the feeling I'm getting is those 4 guys are really up there, and Jonte's right below them. He's on there for sure. That's the safety board. But yeah, Cole, I hear you, man. I'm looking at the safety offer list, and Dante Core. I do know that I don't think they're as high on Kadarius Reddick as they once were. I really don't think Auburn's going to push for him.
No, I don't
also
either.
have Andrew Purcell. Sorry, I just saw his name too.
Andrew Purcell, thank you.
He
Good
could
job.
be somebody down the road. Maybe he camps and they're like, yeah, he's the dude. It's possible. So
Look,
there's
if
some
you get
names out there. There's more
Yeah.
than I thought, but it's still a little iffy.
No, there's some ambiguity there, but just because we haven't seen a ton of corners on campus to this point. You had Devin Williams that's visited
True.
and Dante Core that's visited. Chris Ewald was supposed to come in for a visit, and I don't think that ever happened or
did.
materialized.
He came in the next weekend,
Got it. So he did
But-
come in,
but
didn't
looked
say much.
bothered. Yeah, he looked bothered by being there.
right? And he's got
He might have just been having a bad day.
and he's got an official visit scheduled. So
Sure.
he is coming in for an OV. So we'll kind of see how that goes. But I'm with you that it felt like there were more names on the corner board this time last year than there are this year. And maybe it was because they had so much young depth. Well, now some of that depth is gone. And so maybe you see it shift somewhat in the eval season. Some new offers go out, or maybe some new focus or concentrations putting on different players.
Let's see. T. Walker with a 4. Very genius. Very creative. With the additions to the defensive line, Isaiah Rakes, Kieron Crawford, and Philip Bleedy, where would you put Auburn compared to the rest of the SEC? Middle of the pack, slightly above average. I'll just throw. Does that raise Auburn up to the middle of the pack?
I think I like the edge room slightly above average.
Okay.
I agree.
I think the interior defensive line, I'd say middle of the pack. I think that's fair.
So how many teams are in the SEC now?
16.
So without knowing, because y'all probably don't have any clue. I'm just guessing. Would you put Auburn's edge in the top half, maybe at 8, the bottom of the top half, and maybe the defensive line upwards of the bottom half? Maybe around 10?
Yeah, probably 10, 11 on the interior line board.
Yeah.
Interior defensive line board, edge. Yeah, I'd put him squarely in the top 8. I really like what you have with Jalen McLeod and Keldrick Fault. Yeah, but then you talk about the young guys. You talk about Amarius. You know what I mean? You talk about
Waller.
Yeah, you talk about Javonte Wall. You talk about Joe Phillips.
You're right, man.
You've got, and then the kid that Cole absolutely loves. I mean, loves this kid from the state of Arkansas.
Is he on the team now?
Yeah, he played at IMG.
Oh,
TJ Lindsey.
Oh,
TJ
at
Lindsey.
edge? Oh, you're talking about defensive line.
Yeah, so I
Okay.
consider the edges. So the defensive end spot is also considered an edge. Aldridge is coaching both. But if you look at those in their totality, I think Auburn has really got a good combination of veteran leadership and depth. And we'll see what happens with Gage Keys. I think there is the distinct possibility that he slides out to the 5 technique and gives you some snaps out there, especially with the added depth of Philip Bleedy playing in the inside.
I like it.
I mean, the good news there is not so much where they are now. I mean, yes, but where they came from, because they were bottom of the pack. And they're
14,
not anymore.
16.
They're not there anymore. They've risen it from there. I think, and this is just my opinion, they could go a little bit more with it. They could go get a Derek Harmon, somebody else. You know, I got another name sort of I'm looking at too.
That Williams Hunt guy you talked about.
That's one. Jared Harrison Hunt. Will Norman is a guy that's out there that was at Florida. I mean, he's not at Florida anymore, though. He's at Marshall. So he's technically not an SEC transfer, but he is. So there's a couple guys out there that I think you could add one more. Now, you get into the funny part here where you're like, all right, what did you promise Bleedy and Rakes to come? You know, are you going too far with Keys and Carter at that point and pushing them out too much? That's the weird dynamic that I hate so much now. I don't care about it because I don't have to worry about it, but I would go get another guy. I think you could use one more on the interior. But where they're at right now compared to where they were, my goodness. What a great job to get it there.
Making sure we didn't miss anything while we were talking. All right, let's go. JMK 205. He must be from Central Alabama. How would a potential Juju commitment impact other recruits in this class? Certainly would be a huge public pickup for Auburn, and I know it would carry a lot of weight with a lot of these recruits. Like I said, with Caleb Cunningham, I think it would affect the wide receiver group maybe a little bit more, but it
Yeah.
would probably affect everybody.
I think it'll ensure that you get an opportunity to really stamp an offensive line class if they think they're going to get to be able to pass protect for a guy like him. So you go from maybe thinking you're going to get Broderick Scholl, excuse me, to knowing you're going to get a young man like that if he thinks he gets the opportunity to block for a quarterback of that caliber. And I agree with you on the wide receiver core. I think that's probably where it has the biggest chance to resonate is with the wide receiver group, but maybe also with a kid like Alvin Henderson. Maybe he reconsiders, a Penn State commitment if he thinks, okay, well, now I've got my quarterback in this class. Is this something that I'm really ready to reevaluate? And maybe I pull the Band-Aid off a little bit quicker of going to Penn State than I had necessarily anticipated. And I still think Alvin's going to let that situation play out. Don't get me wrong, but I think it has an opportunity to grab a kid like his attention really quick.
It's going to be a big deal. Let's see. Jack Boys with a Z. What does Auburn need to do in the remainder of the portal window to add a win? Are y'all close to adding a win?
Yeah. I think I already may have, because I was thinking 7. Now I'm thinking more 8. Because your defensive lines, you're just going to be able to throw more bodies in there. And that was the important thing. You didn't have enough. Whether or not you went and got a superstar, like we've talked about, I don't think that was the most important thing. You got to have more. I made the point last year on this show. Vanderbilt was rotating 8 defensive linemen. Auburn was rotating 5. That can't happen. It can't happen. You cannot be in that situation. You got to have 7 to 8 to 10. That's ideal. Now they're there. I think they're closer now.
I think if they get a wide receiver, I will say 8 for sure. Like when we did our preseason, like, okay, when you're handicapping it and it came out at 7.5, are you over or are you under? I think I said over, but when you say that over, you're under the impression like, okay, they're going to go out and they're going to fill the needs that they have. Well, now they've almost done that. But to me, I think if you get a veteran wide receiver, I feel really good about saying that's an 8-win ball club, and I feel good about saying it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I took the over at 8 earlier, and all it does is make me feel better about that.
Yep.
Listen, I still don't like the quarterback position, but I like the supporting cast. I like everybody but him. I mean, and nothing against Peyton. I'm just saying I haven't seen enough from him to make me feel good about that position.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought I saw enough from him to feel better about the position, but the depth behind him, I'm not confident any one of those guys goes into the game if Peyton gets hurt and that you're going to have successful quarterback play. I'm just not. Okay. So to me, it's more about the depth behind Peyton than it is just Peyton himself.
I'm just not there with Peyton yet.
Well, and I'm not saying he's going to go out there and light the world on fire. But I have seen him do it at Michigan State where he's gone out and played competent football. And I think if you have weapons on the outside, like a Keandre Lambert-Smith, and you've got a Cam Coleman, and now you've got Robert Lewis in the slot and Rivaldo Fairweather, like you've got some legitimate weapons out there at that point. So if he can just be accurate and be a 65% passer, okay, man, we're okay. But if you have an injury, like, I'm not certain that one of those guys is going to get you a split in the SEC this year. Like, they're young, they're inexperienced, and I didn't see enough in 8A for me or hear enough, like, through the scrimmages that, like, oh, yeah, for sure. This is the guy if something happens to Peyton. Like, there's Walker White's got all the arm talent in the world, but, yeah. Cole, you pointed out on your film study the other day, there's so many nuances to playing the quarterback position. Is he ready to step into the league right now and be a competitive player?
I can see Peyton. I've got Peyton leading an 8-win season. I want to feel better about him because listen, I could be talked in to go in 9. I really could. But it's the quarterback position that's keeping me from it.
If you're getting to 9 wins, Peyton Thorne's throwing for 2,800 plus yards this year. 20 plus touchdowns.
But Jeffrey, did you see the picture of Peyton and Luke Deal in their cutoff jean shorts at the Talladega with the cigar and the Miller Lite?
Oh, Stogie. I talked to Luke Friday, And he was headed out to go into today. I told him about my experiences and told him not to do any of that.
Oh yeah, remind me to tell y'all my story about staying on the Talladega infield when we
Oh yeah,
when
I'm
we
gonna have to hear that.
when we end this.
Hey, that picture makes me feel better already. Just all I'm saying.
Let's see. D-Cone 24, in your opinion, who's the most underrated Auburn football commit?
I got 3.
Underrated. All right, go for
it. Anthony Crua. Talked about him a lot. Love that guy. He's North Carolina commit now. Still a huge Auburn target, I think.
Yeah.
Jacoby Ward. I wanted to point him out. We don't talk about him enough. I think he's going to Auburn, number 1. Number 2, that guy is 6'3 and a half, 340 pounds, and he moves really, really well. I think this is like a multi-year starter kind of guy, and he's a 3-star. So you don't necessarily associate those two things. I don't care. That dude's good. And then running back Shakai Mills-Knight. I think that guy's good. He's a 3-star. He's getting a lot of attention now, but I think Auburn would be smart to go ahead and lock him down. I think he's a good running back.
Agreed wholeheartedly on that one, Cole. I mean, I agree with your whole list. I think Jacoby Ward's a heck of a ball player as well. For me, I've got 2 guys that come to mind. Third Scroggins, I think, is ranked a 3-star by On3. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think that kid is absolutely a blue chip player.
Jacoby Ward's teammate.
Yep. And then Dante Core. I love that kid on the outside. Long, good speed. I think what I would love to good ball skills, but what I would love to see him do is be able to put his toe in the ground and really drive on the football when he sees it in the air. If you see a little bit more of that, I think he has an opportunity to jump up the rankings. But you're talking about teams like Ole Miss, LSU, Auburn that are going after this kid. I don't see him as a 3-star. I see him as a better player than that.
Those y'all handled all of mine. All of those guys were on my list. Let's see. 3-star bandits. Over under 5.5 more players picked up in the portal. So you're talking about 8 total, 8 to 9 total. So 5.5 more. Ugh.
That's a good over under. Boy, this guy needs to work for Vegas.
5.5 more.
I'm gonna say 6. So I'm gonna go over. I'll say 6.
All right.
Well, there's 8 spots remaining. I'd say 6 too.
Let's count them. So I think we're going to get 2 wide receivers. Okay.
I say 1 there, but that's
okay.
Probably. But
1.
I mean, 2 would not surprise
me. Oh,
me.
see, it gave me a thumbs down, so we got to go with 2. All right. So we're going to go 2 wide receivers. What? 2 defensive backs, maybe?
I'd say 2 there. Yeah, that's 4.
Linebacker.
I think 1 linebacker, and
I think 5.
I think there's a spot for an offensive lineman. I really do.
All right, that gets you to 6. And then if you take another defensive lineman, that puts you at 7.
Or best available, yeah.
Best available, something of that nature, absolutely. Because there may be some more attrition that we're not accounting for right now.
Sure.
And I'm with Cole. I think Cole, when you came out with your volume 4 of the people that make sense as far as transfers go, you said, hey, Auburn could be done at defensive line, but they probably take as many of those casts as they can get. Now, whether or not they can get them, the Harmon kid or
especially if you got a roster spot and it's a 1-year guy that you know is good, he's going to help. I don't see them just passing up on that unless they've made some crazy promise to get Rakes and Bleedy. I don't know. I don't see it.
Well, and then
you're going to get snaps.
Yes,
the rotation's deep. Yeah, you're going to get snaps.
But NIL resources, how much do you have to expend to get one of those guys? How much, if you can get Keandre Lambert-Smith, what does that do to cash on hand? You know what I mean? Like, I hate to talk about it like this, like it's just purely a business decision. But with transfer portal recruiting, that's part of it. Now, money's not everything in transfer portal recruiting, but it's a big part of it. And it's a big enough part of it that if playing time is equal at other places and or the ability to, be developed into an NFL prospect, then the money's going to matter, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely going to matter. Let's see. M45 Auburn. What positions do you think are the best to go to the portal for, and what positions are best to go to the high school ranks for? In general, not necessarily based on Auburn. It's really all about need and what your rooms look like as far as your depth chart with the years. I mean, you might need a 1-year guy at wide receiver. Like Auburn doesn't need a high school guy. I mean, or a 4-year guy.
I think for me, when you're looking at quality in the portal, the spots that you can go to, in my opinion, second and third option at receiver. Like I think you can go and find those guys pretty regularly. Safety and running back. Like I think all day you can find those. I think the positions that you got to nail out of high school are offensive line and defensive line, because those elite pieces of clay, you're not going to be able, if you're going to find those pieces in the portal, they're going to be expensive, dude. Big time expensive. I think elite wide receivers, like wide receiver ones, you got to go get those. And then quarterbacks you can get from the portal. There is a plethora of quarterbacks you can go get. I mean, I would still take one out of the high school class every year, but quarterback is a position sneakily that you can go get in the portal each and every year if you're willing to pay up for it. But you got to be willing to pay. Cole, what do you think?
I think probably the biggest thing here is great example. 2024 offensive line class. We talked about it. Wasn't deep, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't a lot of guys there. 2025 is different. There's a ton. I think the offensive line class in 25 is really good. That's the case. You go for high school, probably a lot more. If you're looking to fill, let's say, 7 spots, if the class is as full as it is, you probably go get 7. 2024, they could have filled more than 3 from the high school and JUCO ranks, but they didn't have 3 that they could land or that they thought were better or good enough to take. I mean, they could have had John Wayne Oliver. They could have had Egan Boyer. They could have had those guys.
Sure.
You could have had 5. But they didn't. They waited for the portal because that was the better move. They thought, I'm going to hedge my bet on the portal because I think there's going to be better quality there. So that's the way you got to do it. I think if you see a high school class and you see that you might be taking somebody that you think may not play for you, there's no point anymore. And that sucks for the fringe guy. That sucks for the guy that usually would have been taken in the past.
Late bloomer. Yeah.
I hate it, but go to the Sun Belt, work your way up. That's how it is now.
It really is. But premium position players, so pass rushers, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, the elite ones, you got to get those from high school, in my opinion. Grow and develop them in your system. And then otherwise, to me, like the price point on portal prospects at those positions is just freaking outrageous, man.
I think I was being too specific. Y'all were thinking broad terms. That was the smart answer. Right. I was like, hey, if you need this, you don't know,
No, I think
you got a room full of juniors, you don't want to.
Well, I think it makes for a good podcast to have different opinions, right? Like, because there are people that think differently about this. There's no one right answer for any of these kind of questions, in my honest opinion, because roster management is just it's not like a new thing, but it's a new thing for subscribers and for us to talk about. I mean, once the portal came, like you used to, in your mind every year, you could kind of layer out depth in every class. Like you knew exactly what you needed. And now it's completely different, man. I mean, it is completely different.
On 3, big dog.
Dude, that's awesome. Got the whole family wearing the swag, Jeffrey. I hear you.
It's time. It's past his bedtime.
I'm not gonna lie. I was looking down. I looked up. Brooks is standing there. It scared me a little bit.
Jeffrey, watch out! All right, B-Dye, we want to know how we're feeling about Lambert Smith. Pete Nakos on Tuesday night put a story out that Auburn and Texas A&M basically lead his recruitment. He had a visit to USC. I don't know that he's going to make that. He had mentioned Colorado when he left Auburn on Saturday. I don't think that's going to happen. It looks like Pete Nakos thinks this is Auburn, Texas A&M. How are you feeling? If you've got 100% on him, how many of them are you going to give A&M, and how many you give them Auburn, Cole?
Well, I don't know on percentages, but I know one thing. This update from Pete Nakos is huge to me because the information that I have on Lambert Smith, plus the feeling I got when he left the other day, I didn't feel like Auburn was going to match what maybe a Colorado or a USC or a Texas A&M was going to match. Knowing now that USC and Colorado are probably not in the mix, it means that Lambert Smith is looking at this. He's looking at it over the money thing. I think obviously that matters, and I think Auburn's probably going to play the game, but he's looking at it as a fit. There's no doubt about it. He's wanting to go where he fits. He's got 1 year left. I think these 1 year guys, they can do the money thing, but they know they better get it right. They better get it right. And he feels like Auburn is a place that he can get it right. And he's shown that by having Auburn and A&M in it. That's huge news to me.
I agree. And I think it's a fantastic fit. And I think he thinks at Auburn. Now, I don't know. I'm with you, Cole. I couldn't put a percentage on it right now. I would draw it 50-50 right down the line. I did think it was huge because when he went to A&M, I thought, all right, if he gets out of this visit, Auburn's in this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If he can get out of this visit without committing to Texas A&M, or we're hearing that he's going to be making a commitment, then Auburn's legitimately in this. And I think having a senior quarterback and a senior offensive line and knowing he's probably that missing piece to go along with a Cam Coleman and a Robert Lewis and a Rivaldo Fairweather and multiple other targets, and these are guys that have played together, had an opportunity to gel together. A&M didn't even have their starting quarterback going through spring. I believe he was coming off injury again. So while the young man's talented, you don't really know what he's going to be coming off injury just yet. And you don't really know what the team is going to be around him. I think it was just reported that A&M's not going to have 3 offensive linemen returning that were all contributors on last year's offensive line. So what's the roster situation looking like for a first-year head coach in Mike Elko by comparison to Hugh Freeze, who's got a history with putting wide receivers in the NFL? So, I mean, a lot of selling points on both sides because, hey, listen, A&M is not short on resources. Let's be honest.
Auburn, I wonder if Auburn's pretty much guaranteed him that spot opposite Cam Coleman. It almost sounded like it when he came out, like, this is what we're bringing you in for. This would be your role.
I don't know.
You'd almost think so, right? It's not like, hey, you can come in here and battle. No, we're bringing you in to be the guy opposite of Cam Coleman. We're bringing you in to lead him, to mentor him and others.
Yeah.
And show him what it takes.
No, I mean, I think if he gets past, like, obviously if they get into fall camp and he's just not performing the way Auburn had anticipated or something of that nature, obviously things are subject to change at that point. But I think he'd get every opportunity to prove himself to be the other number one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's gonna earn it, but
no, I'm with you. I mean, look, promises get made. This is the transfer portal. Guys want to know that they have a spot, right? Like if a starter is leaving a program as successful as Penn State, they want to go be a starter someplace else. They're trying to make the league. They're not trying to come in and be the best senior they can and, thanks for letting me have a graduate degree, Auburn. No, he's coming in trying to make the league, man. That is the goal. And I think the selling point that Hugh Freeze has with his success with wide receivers and what he's been able to put into the league, and then you talk about the other pieces that would be around him that would allow him to be successful, it's a compelling case on both sides. And I can see the Texas A&M argument and can absolutely see the Auburn argument.
All right, let's go with East St. One. We'll hit some quick hitters here. Where does our defense rank among SEC defenses? Let's think total defense at the end of the year. Where do you think Auburn ranks 1 through 16 in total defense?
8.
I was going to say 9. Top 10, maybe.
Top 10, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
See, because to me, LSU's got holes. I don't know what Florida's bringing back. Texas is going to be really good defensively. Yeah. Georgia's going to be really good defensively. Yeah. Ole Miss is going to be improved defensively. Missouri sucks defensively. Kentucky's usually okay.
Texas, Oklahoma.
Texas is going to be really good defensively. Oklahoma struggled defensively last year.
Yeah, they did.
It sure did.
You'd think that wouldn't happen again with Venables.
Right. And Venables is
they are meeting a new monster this year in the SEC. So
They are. It's going to be interesting to see how Oklahoma adapts. I think Texas is going to be just fine. I mean, you've seen what they've done in the transfer portal in their recruiting class.
Tennessee,
But Tennessee's going to be okay defensively, I
South
think.
Carolina.
I don't know what South Carolina's going to be. I'm going to be honest with you.
I don't know.
They were
running A&M. They should be pretty good, I think.
A&M will be improved under Elko for sure.
Yeah.
Now, they don't have the horses they had last year underneath Durkin, especially up front. They lost all those guys to the portal for the most part. But I respect Mike Elko as a defensive mind, and I think he'll have them playing at a pretty high clip.
I'm going to go 7.
7. Okay. 7, 8, 9. Zach, real quick on that East St. one, I think he had what is the over-under total for the Auburn team at 7.5. That's where we're missing to be a legit team this year. Okay, thank you. The over-under win total is 7.5. Right now, we all have it at 8.
Yep.
So what else are we missing to be a legit team this year? I think Auburn's going to be legit. I don't think they're missing anything. Good quarterback play.
Yeah.
Good quarterback play and depth in the quarterback room, in my opinion. Those are the things that you're probably missing on this roster that could push you. Like if you put who's the kid from LSU last year?
Daniels.
Yes. If you put Jaden Daniels on this roster with a Keandre Lambert-Smith, I mean, I think you would think Auburn would potentially win 10 games.
Compete.
Well, I think quarterback play takes a step forward if you get Keandre Lambert-Smith.
I agree.
So that might be it. Maybe that's the answer. Keandre Lambert-Smith.
Yeah.
Or someone of that caliber at receiver. I don't even think it has to be that far because that's a good receiver. I mean, he's a good player.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it has to be that much. Just another solid piece at receiver that's going to be reliable. That's all you need. To me, that gives you a big boost.
I think so. I mean, he kind of reminds me of Ricky Pearsall. You know what I mean? A guy that can play inside, a guy that can play outside, a guy that knows and understands the nuances of playing the wide receiver position. Like, I don't think he's the most elite athlete ever, but just a guy that knows how to play, and he's played in big-time atmospheres and big-time situations.
He's kind of hard-nosed, too.
Yeah.
I like that. I like his style. He's not afraid of contact. He's physical. He's a bigger guy. That's just would be a great addition. Really would.
Let's see what Tiger Eye's up to. Do you see DJ Durkin, defensive coordinator, linebackers coach, using Jalen McLeod in a similar role to what the Cowboys have done with Parsons or any of the Buck linebackers? Well, talk to me about what the Cowboys do with Parsons. Who is Parsons and
Micah Parsons?
Yeah,
they just Tennessee. I mean, from Kentucky,
Penn State.
That's what I said.
Micah Parsons is like he's the new guy that everybody points to as like the versatile defender, and that teams are saying, "Hey, you're our Micah Parsons." I think that's what Penn State was telling Jamonte Waller. Like they thought he was legit like that. So yes, I think but I wouldn't look at Micah Parsons. Go to DJ Durkin's defense last year and go look at Fadil Diggs. Go look at LT Overton. That's how he used him. Like a Micah Parsons, he moved them around. Sometimes they'd be inside. Sometimes they'd be outside. Sometimes they'd be in space. Bottom line is, wherever they're at, they're going to get the quarterback.
Meet you at the quarterback. Who was the kid from Kentucky? Wasn't there a Micah, badass defensive lineman from Kentucky? Might have been 15 years ago. I don't remember now. Watch this. He was I think he was a D tackle or.
Kentucky's had a lot of good edge rushers and linebackers. Bud Dupree comes to mind. Gosh, they've had a bunch. I can't remember.
I mean, he was awesome. Man, Micah Johnson? That doesn't sound right.
I don't know.
He was like a first-round draft pick, man. All right, we'll keep going. Micah Johnson?
That doesn't sound right either.
Oh, it's not right either. I don't know. I'm sure somebody's listening going, it's this guy. All right, Ace is full. What has to happen for y'all to see Auburn get 9 wins? Quarterback play for me.
Quarterback play. It's quarterback and wide receiver play. That's
Okay.
got to be better. If that's improved and you're getting explosive plays in the passing game, and Auburn's defense does hold up to middle of the pack, I mean, because think about, all right, our defense did enough last year for us to potentially win 8 games, right? Minus the New Mexico State game where they got absolutely obliterated by a team that took advantage of them, controlled the football the entire game. I thought they were opportunistic and they did enough. They were about back half of middle of the pack. And if Auburn's offense had been able to produce more in certain games, you potentially win 8. So if this offense can generate more explosives, put more points on the board, and they can still play at least at the same caliber, if not just slightly better, and I think they can. Yeah, I could get to 9 if everything breaks the right way. But the quarterback and wide receiver play has got to be there.
Yeah. That's the number one thing, because now you've got everything shored up with the D-line, at least for now. And past that, it's got to be quarterback play and receiver play. Passing game has to get better.
I can't find that Kentucky guy anywhere.
Jeffrey, were you talking about Josh Allen?
Man.
Yeah, that's exactly who he's talking about.
Josh Allen was awesome.
Yeah.
Corey Peters?
Corey Peters has been around for a while.
Yeah, I honestly think you're talking about Josh Allen. But to me, who McLeod reminds me of, and you're going to go back a little bit. Do you guys remember Dante Fowler from Florida?
Yeah.
That's who, when you watch the Get Off, similar framed, not the biggest guy on the planet, but he's got some Dante Fowler to him with explosion. And DJ Durkin was, I think, the linebackers coach on that group where Will Muschamp was the head coach. So a guy that's had experience playing in a similar scheme. So that would be my Fidel Diggs, I thought, but that was a great comp, Cole, because that's something recent that can draw everybody's opinion. But Dante Fowler Jr., that's the guy I'm watching that if McLeod's going to take the next step, he'll emulate him somewhat.
Yeah, I agree.
Man. Micah Johnson?
You still over there looking, aren't you? Jeffrey said, I'm not letting this go.
Defensive lineman from Kentucky, and it was Micah. Whatever, Book of Mormont.
Are you talking about the nose tackle?
Probably.
Okay, let me pull it up. I think I know who you're talking about now.
I've got every Kentucky NFL draft pick pulled up right here on Wikipedia.
I got the same thing pulled up.
I've gone through it. I cannot find it. I mean, it might have been from the 90s.
Myron Pryor?
No, I don't know. Somebody's going to tell us on the show. Lou Michaels, Josh Allen. No,
you're out of it for me.
No, it's a Micah or it's a Parsons. I can't remember which one it is. Anyways, all right, let's see.
I can't help.
Somebody from the corner will tell me who it is. Could you see the staff treating a Kalen Deere, AK Deere, like Cam Coleman from the last recruiting cycle by doing whatever it takes to get him in this class?
No, I would put Alvin Henderson up there. Sorry.
People don't understand that Alvin Henderson is we've said it, man. He is up there, believe it or not.
Yeah.
They think he is special.
Just because you don't like that he picked Penn State doesn't mean he's still not good.
No, and I still think Kylan Deere is probably the number one on the board, but I think if you're looking for a Cam Coleman comparison, so Cam Coleman was an in-state prospect right down the road. Alvin Henderson, very similar. It's a lot easier, in my opinion, to go all out on an in-state kid and put that kind of pressure on him than it is a kid that's out of state. It's not the same kind of recruitment. You don't have the same factors in your back pocket where everybody's an Auburn or Alabama fan in Alvin Henderson's hometown. I know, I'm from there. Okay. You know what I mean? So it's different where this kid at Kylan Deere, everybody in his hometown, they're Ole Miss fans. They're Mississippi State fans. Maybe you got the rare Memphis or Southern Miss fan, but they're pulling for the 2 in-state schools. So you're not going to go in there and apply the same kind of pressure to him that you would to somebody else. So it's just a little bit different scope of it. And I don't think you're going to have the same level of access to that kid that you do to Alvin Henderson, just like you had to Cam Coleman.
Don't forget Cam Coleman. Listen, I was I reported several unofficial visits leading up to his flip, or I think he might have decommitted. Yeah, he did. And then a couple of weeks later, he committed to Auburn.
Yep.
And you couldn't have done that with a kid from Mississippi. He was up there 2 or 3 times a week that people didn't know about.
Yeah,
correct.
Up there bowling, up there eating out, up there meeting with the coaches and hanging out and shooting the shit. I mean, not there on a, taking a ride around campus on a golf cart. Dude was just there living. And you can't do that when you're in Mississippi. You could Alvin's been to Auburn more times than we know.
Sure.
We know about 15 in the past, year. So I think it's going to be a lot easier to put that kind of heat on an in-state kid to get him up there as much as they did Cam Coleman. I'm looking at guys like that or Eric Winters. He would be a guy I don't think they would take no for an answer from.
Nope.
Eric Winters.
I think they're ready to do that with Zion Grady. I mean, I think
that was my next one.
Yep. Alvin Henderson's one of those kind of guys. I'm with you at this point.
Fegans.
Yep. Anquan Fegans. Those are all
maybe offered. We don't know what's going on there. It's been awfully quiet.
It has, and it feels like Ohio State's going to be tough to unseat in that one. But all the same, like you said, that kid in his camp has been dead quiet. I mean, there has not been much talk, if anything.
And Cam was the same way. It's just Cam was receptive.
Yes.
Will Naeem, is he the same way? We don't know. We're certainly going to be working on it and see where that stands. But we know he didn't visit in the spring. We know it's been awfully quiet on his end. We know Ohio State's going to be tough to beat for any kid in the country, including Alabama.
Yeah, because they're geared up, ready to make a national championship run.
So So we'll see how that stands. But those are 4 or 5 guys in the state, I think. And of course, I thought Derek Smith was one of those guys, but after talking to maybe it was Cole. Was it you, Cole?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they're willing to. I don't know if he's going to be in that same group.
CJ Wiley.
CJ Wiley.
I think CJ Wiley. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think CJ Wiley is 100% in that group, that they're going to do whatever they can to leverage that situation
That's the one exception. To me, that's the one exception. Outside of the state is Atlanta.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because of the success Auburn's had there and the access you have to Atlanta. You are 2 hours. In fact, it is quicker from Auburn to certain parts of Atlanta than it is from Athens.
Absolutely. Well, and you got Kenyatta. He's going to be good for a recruit or two, a big-time recruit or two every year, I would think.
I think so.
Expectations.
Especially in that city.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. We had a fantastic show. What a great, diverse load of questions.
Yeah,
fantastic
it was good.
questions. Fantastic questions. Let's get some how about yous, and then we'll wrap it up. Anybody have any this week? I have 4.
I got 4.
4 for Cole. Go ahead, big dog.
All right. Shirtless Harbaugh.
Ooh, that's a good one.
He had me rolling. There's one guy. I think it's Dis AU, maybe. He's negative in every thread. I mean, It's hard to narrow it down. There's a lot of negative guys, but he's one of them. And Shirtless Harbaugh was like, "Hey, it's the corner rain cloud back again." I loved it. It was good. Big Dave 55.
Big? Is it BIG _ or space?
It's no spaces. Capital B, capital D.
Big Dave.
Big Dave 55.
Big Dave 55?
Yeah.
Okay.
Book of Mormont, who had our last question, made a connection with him. He lives right down the road. Wife went to school with my wife. How about that?
All right. Look at there.
So, Book of Mormont, he gets one. And then my last one goes to a non-corner member. Actually goes to a recruit. It's going to go to Third Scroggins. Because
how about you?
Me and Emily, my wife, we went to Savannah, Georgia. Quick little trip there. Had a great time. We're going to go back with some friends. And Third Scroggins the other night gave me some places to go, some things to check out when we go.
How about that, man?
Yeah.
You write that trip off now.
Yeah, there you go. Stop by St. Benedictine.
Thank you, Shannon Terry.
Yes, sir. And U.S. government.
There you go.
Yeah, right.
What you got, Mr. Allen Head?
Let's go with Madden 1207 exclamation mark.
Madden 1207.
I thought he had some points tonight on a certain post, and just wanted to. How about you and say I respect you, big dog?
Okay.
Coochie Rabbit.
Oh, coochie. Love me some coochie. Always
Yeah, man.
It's impossible not to give him one.
And then make that times 2 on Shirtless Hardball. He had some things this week that absolutely had me rolling. Hey, balloons.
And he gets the balloon.
Hey, damn it.
Yeah.
I missed it. All right, I got you. War Dank. How about you, War Dank, calling into the show Sunday night? Had
Yes.
some fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
How about you, BM Harp?
Okay.
If he doesn't get a how about you, God bless America. There you go. Times two.
Times two. That's my guy.
Dude, he didn't get one last week. And he
said,
copy
"I'm
and
work
pasted
harder."
my how about you. He put it on the bulletin board.
Yes, he did.
You see that? BM Harp, good stuff. How about you, big dog? How about you, the Goulet or Goulet, Goulet? How about you, big dog?
Like Robert Goulet.
Okay. Finally, how about you to War Valenta? How about you, big dog?
Yes.
Lost his father earlier this week, and just wanted to tease and peas were coming your way, big dog. Glad you shared that with us.
Yeah.
Yep. We're thinking
times
about
two.
you.
Times two.
Make that times 3.
Times 3. War Valenta. Good stuff, man. Loyal, long-time subscriber, and appreciate you sharing that with us, buddy. We was thinking about you, man. That's tough times, and certainly wouldn't want anybody going at it alone. Not that you are, but glad you included us in it. All right, well, that's going to do it, man. What a great show. Fantastic show. Man, I'm telling you, the questions from the corner, I love it because they know what they're talking about.
They do.
They cover every angle, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to do show notes anymore. You don't have to do an agenda.
Right.
We just answer questions, man. It's
Pop
great.
it on there, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. We will be back Sunday night for the call-in show. Y'all keep a track on. Nobody is scheduled to visit right now as far as the transfer portal goes, but man, things are going to get popping here again. I think Auburn's going to start turning to these. I think number one priority was defensive line, and they have shored it up. I have found out throughout talking to the show Auburn will not turn down a good defensive lineman. Right? And Cole said that as much, and I agreed with him earlier. So yes, if they can get another one, they will. So keep an eye on that. We'll continue doing everything we can to keep y'all up to date at Auburn Live on 3. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe our YouTube page, man. That would be huge help for us. Just subscribe to it. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. So reach over there and click that button, and then hit the notifications. You'll get all the videos notified. You'll get notified when all the videos are uploaded. Something like that. And one more time, Auburn Opalike. I'm telling you, dude, if you're looking for a realtor, you won't find anyone better. I promise you that. Give Jessica Andrews with the Talents Group a call, 334-704-4442, and make sure that you tell her we sent you. All right, folks, that's going to do it, man. Thanks for all the questions. We appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate everybody watching. For Alan Head, for Cole Pinkston, for Zach in the back, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay out of that left lane. See ya.